do we exert energy and how do we maximize impact at a virtual meeting? First of all, we need to know the differences between the senses of physical meetings and virtual meetings. Physically, when you meet someone face-to-face, you're actually activating 5 senses, basically the sense of smell, touch, as well as taste, and of course visual and hearing. However, in a virtual context, we're only activating 2 senses, namely the sense of visual, what people see, and the sense of hearing, what they are able to listen to. So in order for us to maximize our impact virtually, we need to maximize the impact of the visual as well as of the hearing. Well, traditionally, if we call someone a good presenter or a good meeting host in the physical context, we'll say that person owns the room. And right now, what I say is whether or not someone could own the frame in a virtual meeting. The frame meaning what people see on the other part in front of the computer or in front of their phones. And that frame sometimes could be as small as the size of maybe 1 or 2 stems. So how do you own that frame to maximize your visual impact would determine whether or not you're able to be a good virtual meeting presenter. I would like to introduce you to the concept of framing. Very often, we see how people frame themselves at virtual meetings is that they crop really tight and you're able to only see the facial expression. And that's the only area where you can communicate your passion, your energy, your agreeableness, or whether you disagree with something. You only see that head giving you some expression. However, if you're able to zoom out a little bit to take in more of your body, then you can still utilize your hands to gesture. And we all know that hand gestures play a large part in terms of communication. You could use it to illustrate a point or use it to carry your energy. So instead of just zooming in as a talking head, try to zoom out a bit to take in your hand gestures. One of the quick tips that when I work with hand gestures on virtual meetings is to slightly elevate where you do your hand gestures. So normally in a meeting context, physical meeting, we will gesture right here. That's the level of hand gestures. But when you're doing it virtually, I recommend that you at least elevate your hands from maybe half a feet in order for people to take in your hand gestures. And that's where people can see it on the frame to maximize the visual context. We all know that in physical meetings, eye contact means I am in connection with you, I'm listening to you, or I'm giving you a response. The same applies when you're in the audience view in a virtual meeting. You do care whether or not the meeting person or the presenter is looking at you. And interesting enough, when we do a virtual meeting, we tend to look into our PowerPoints, or we tend to look into our presentation materials, which means instead of looking at the camera, we're looking down or sideways. And these has 2 drawbacks. The first is the person on the receiving end, if you're not looking into the camera, would feel like you're not talking to him or her, and you will even more easily lose their attention. The second is even more impacting, which is that person will feel that you're uninterested or will feel that you're not really connecting. So in order for us to be able to maintain that contact, even in a virtual context, is to look right into the camera when you're presenting. And that does require quite a bit of practice because it's not normal for us to look into the camera. Utilizing the 2 senses of visual and hearing, what is important is whether or not you're able to transmit your energy from one end to the other side of the frame. In order to do that, what we would recommend is you work on your energy. In a physical meeting, you use your energy to influence, to impact, to create a change in those people who are listening to you. And that happens exactly the same in a virtual context. It's just done slightly differently. In a virtual meeting, the first tip that I would offer in order to increase your energy level is to sit up straight. Sitting straight communicates confidence. It also allows a better articulation of your sound when it comes out from your system. So whether or not you're able to sit straight instead of slouch, which doesn't really communicate presence and it doesn't really communicate a lot of confidence. So first of all, sit straight. The second is how you use your voice. Energy is also being transmitted or understood through the use of your voice. If you're talking about something that you're passionate about, work that into your speech. If you're talking about something that you're concerned about, also work that into your voice. Adjust your tone, adjust your inflection, and adjust the level of energy that you put into your speech in order for your counterpart to be able to feel your emotion and to be influenced by it. A lot of my clients will tell me that they're really fatigued about virtual meetings. One of the reasons is that in virtual meetings, we're very accustomed to opening a frame and looking into ourselves talking right in front of the camera. So imagine that if you're looking at yourself talking, constantly judging, assessing, and trying to fix all the minor glitches that you might find when you're talking, it's actually very tiring. And it doesn't do your audience justice because your energy is not focused on influencing them. So echoing the point about eye contact looking into the camera, what I also would like to offer is try to not open the window of your self-speaking. It's very much like physical meetings. We do not put in front of ourselves a mirror. How do we look when we're conducting a physical meeting and constantly try to adjust and assess ourselves? So without opening a window of your self-talking, you're able to focus your energy on connecting with your audience, and not to mention to reduce the level of fatigue that you might have by looking constantly at yourself. So hopefully with that tip, you're able to exert a better, stronger, and more influential energy in your virtual meetings.